Hello children, welcome back to English with Kashish. Yes, none other than Kashish. Today we are doing a very interesting and I want all of you to understand this chapter very well. Which chapter is this? Consumerist culture. Consumerist, who is a consumer? We, who go and buy things. How are we buying things? Why are we buying those and for whom are we buying that? What is the culture now in this modern world? What is the culture of a consumer? This is spoken by Sherian Alexander. Okay, he wants us to be aware of what we need to buy. What are our essentials? Do we actually need those things? Now, tell me something. When you go to a mall, okay, with your parents, you have gone there to buy a soap. Your soap is over. You need a soap. But by the end of the whole journey, what do you have? You have 2 or 3 bags of stuff with you. Now, you saw with 3 soaps, 2 soaps are free. Did you need those 5 soaps? Or you just bought it because it was free? Think about that. Now, Coke, Pepsi, Cola, whatever. With one bottle is free. Now, you didn't even need that Pepsi Cola, right? But you bought 3 bottles. Did you need that? No. So, let's find out what Sherian has to say about all this. Okay? Now, Sherian Alexander was born in 1958, is an associate professor of English at St. Joseph College, Bangalore. He has written widely on issues and themes related to literature, culture and ecology. He is still the professor at St. Joseph College in Bangalore. Okay. Now, I want to ask you a question, friends. If I gave you a choice between tender coconut and Pepsi, what will you choose? I am definitely sure you will choose Pepsi or Thumbs Up or a 7-Up or a Mountain Dew or a Coke. Why? Isn't tender coconut more healthy? Doesn't it have more benefits? What is a Coke doing to you? Spoiling your health, spoiling your bones. Your bones tend to become weaker. But still you choose Pepsi over tender coconut, which is so easily available everywhere. Okay. Let's take another example. Chapati or a pizza. What will you like? I am sure you like a pizza. Why? All of you want to get westernized. With this, there's one more question that I have for you. You want to study in India or study abroad? I am sure all of you will have the dream of going out of India and studying, right? Yes, I know. Okay, you study outside. You come back. You did your MBA. You come back. Now, what you want to do? You want to work outside? You want to work outside also? Why don't we join hands and serve our country? You have gained such beautiful education. Why not use it for our own country? Let's do that. We can study very hard and use the education for our own country. Okay? Yes. Moving on to the chapter now. 2 months ago now, the narrator says, I came across an advertisement. Advertisement is you have seen newspapers or you have seen big boards on the roads which tell you about a product, which tell you about a thing like a Pepsi or a cake or anything. Put on by a posh shopping mall for bargaining shoppers. In a band at the top of the ad were the words, shop till you drop. That means shop till your entire pocket is empty and then you drop there only. Correct? That's what we are doing nowadays. What is consumerism? Firstly, the belief or practice which supports and encourages the buying of products and services. And what is posh? Posh means fashionable or very expensive. Now, malls are everywhere. In every mall you will see, keep shopping, 50% off, 70% off. They tell you all that so you can spend more money. You go with 2,000 in your pocket and you spend more than that and come. Correct? That's what advertisers are doing. I couldn't help but noticing what an apt and ironic summing up this was of the media-driven mania of mindless consumption that characterizes our lives in these dawning years of the globalized 21st century. What is, first we'll see ironic. What is irony? A statement which conveys the opposite of what it is saying. It's the actual opposite. Correct? It says shop till you drop, but it actually means shop till you finish your money. Globalize means develop or operate worldwide. It is globalizing the 21st century. Now, he says that I cannot stop noticing how all these advertisers are capturing our minds and telling us to spend, spend, spend. Now, we have so many varieties of everything. Even a simple rice has 10 varieties when you go to a shop. So, we have to choose. Earlier, we did not have this variety, correct? Now, we have so much. You go to a shop and you tell him, I want a shampoo. He will tell you, I have 10 models of shampoo. Which one do you want? So, we have so many varieties. That's what he is saying. It is called mindless consumption that characterizes our lives. That means we buy so much, we don't even need that much. And I'm sure when you come home and you open your bags, you must be telling yourself that I didn't even need all this. Why did I buy that? So, we should buy only essential, not materialistic. Okay? Now, the first part of the chapter is the make-believe merchants. They make you believe that it is good for you or right for you. Never before in human history have people all over the world bought and consumed such a bewilderingly diverse array of things on such a vast scale. Bewilderingly, that means puzzling. It's very puzzling. It's very confusing for a consumer, for us, for humans to go to a shop, as I gave you the example of shampoo. Now he tells me I have 10 brands. This is for dandruff, this is for hair fall, this is for scalp. Now you are confused. Why can't you give me one good product and I'll be happy with it? So there is such a vast variety of everything available for us that we are always puzzled or confused or bewildered. Okay? What is array? Array is the range of products available for us. And what is merchandise? Okay, this line we didn't read. And the surprising thing is that, what is the surprising thing? Yes, we have so many varieties of everything, but surprisingly, most of the merchandise is absolutely unessential to human health and happiness. Merchandise is the goods that are on sale. When you go to a mall, you see racks and racks of goods. But are those goods essential for us? Is drinking Pepsi, Coke, is it essential? Do we really need it? No, we don't. So, most of the products are not essential for us. We go to buy one soap, we get 6 and come, correct? We go to buy one thing, we get 3 bags and come. So, we pick up most of the non-essential things, chips, Maggi, all these are not essential, correct? Just 100 years ago, our ancestors would have found it hard to believe that artificially colored, flavored and sweetened water would be sold in billions of plastic bottles and aluminum cans as a thirst quenching drink. Now, some time ago, a decade ago or maybe 100 years ago, our ancestors, would they even think, what did we have? We had tender coconut, Nimbu Pani, lemon water which you call, fresh lime soda which you call, or rose water, or tea, or coffee, or buttermilk. We have so many options, correct? Who would think that artificially colored first, flavored second, and sweetened water, it is just water with sweet. Is it even drinkable? Is it even healthy? Or is it even important? No, they could never think that we will buy all this for our thirst. When we are thirsty, basic, what do you need? Water. Do we need all this? No. And what are they served in? Plastic bottles and aluminum cans. You know how much garbage we are collecting in the world because of all this? You can't even imagine that. Imagine their shock if they had been told that this drink has absolutely no nutritive value at all. In fact, it is bad for our health, but rather has a damaging effect on the digestive system and the bones. This is used to clean the bathrooms. You clean this with the bathrooms, your bathrooms will be sparkling, okay? And yet, Pepsi and Coca-Cola are sold even the remotest nook and corner of the world today. Even if you do not have electricity there or water is not available there, but you will definitely get a Pepsi or a Coca-Cola there. This has reached to every village, every, what is nook and corner? Every little corner of the world. The remotest villages will have a Pepsi in their stores. That's how advertisers have done their work beautifully. These sellers of colored, sweetened water are giant multinational corporations. You call them MNCs. The short form of multinational companies is MNCs. With revenues measured in billions of dollars, they are earning big time money from us. Bigger than the combined GNP. What do you mean by GNP? Gross National Product. GNP full form is Gross National Product of nearly a score of the world's poorest countries. They are earning so much that you can't even compare. To collectively so many villages, if you combine, they earn much more than them. They have actually captured the whole country. There are parallel success stories that can be told of the purveyors of cigarettes and liquor. Now, purveyors are manufacturers and suppliers. Manufacturers and suppliers of cigarettes and liquor. Now, is it good for health? Is smoking good for health? Is drinking alcohol good for health? No, it is not. Then why are we making it? Why are we manufacturing it in such a big scale? And you know, if you even, okay, remember lockdown period, even the alcohol stores opened faster. There was a long queue in all the liquor stores, and that's what the government says. They say that because of these big manufacturing units of cigarettes and alcohol shops, we are giving employment to people. But it is bad for health. So why are we manufacturing it? Imagine hamburgers and fried chicken. You must have heard of KFC and McDonald's. What are those? Those are those 2 bread pieces and a cutlet in below. That's it. They are making so much of money. Cosmetics and fashion wear. Anything you can see. You see Fair and Lovely. You see any kind of fashion brand. They are earning so much of money. A seemingly never-ending list. This list is never-ending. You see Salman having Coca-Cola. What do you feel? I want to be like Salman Khan. I am going and having Coca-Cola. Does this happen like that? Does it work like that? No. Those are paid big time to come into the advertisement. Equally unprecedented in the world's history is the size of the machinery of persuasion. Machinery of persuasion means the attractive and convincing ways of advertising a product through different media. What are the different medias? Where do you see ads? You see ads in a newspaper, in a magazine, on a hoarding, anything, on the buses, on the bikes, the tires of the bikes. Your mobile is filled with advertisements, isn't it? Or in fact TV, anything is filled with advertisements. The way they are advertising now with so many popular actors and actresses that you want to go and buy those products, correct? If someone is putting Fair and Lovely and they become fair, you also want to become fair. Without a doubt, global advertising today is the biggest and most sophisticated thought control project ever undertaken. Some statistics reveal the true extent of this phenomena. Now, what is profusion? Profusion is a great amount of something. Profusion is something very big or great. There is a lot of consumables that are available now. So, even advertising has gone to a very big extent. What do you mean by sophisticated? Sophisticated means highly developed and complex. All these are words taken from your glossary. They are available in your textbook also, and you can refer from here also. Now, with this third point, we understand that with all this, advertising has become big. Advertising companies are increasing. Everyone has come up to take advertising as their channel. Yes, the bigger the advertising, the bigger the product. The more money they put into advertising, the more they capture the market. This is how the statistics are. Global advertising expenditures according to Benjamin Barber. Now, who is Benjamin Barber? He wrote a book in Jihad versus Macworld in 1995. Rose sevenfold from 1950 to 1990. Now, one company rose from $39 to $256 billion. Can you imagine? Barber added that per capita global spending went up from $15 in 1950 to nearly $50 in 1996. Now, they earned $39. They actually earned they started with $39 and they went up to $256 billion in the years 1950 to 1990. But what did they spend? By spending $15 in 1950, they rose to $50 in 1996. The spending was only increased to this, but their income increased from $39 to $256 billion. Imagine how advertising works and how beautifully it works. One single company, the hamburger giant, I am sure all of you would have known this, McDonald's. Who doesn't know McDonald's? I'm sure you would have had all the burgers and french fries from there. Spends more than $1.4 billion each year on only advertising. So in advertising, you get all these gifts. They put a sticker on your car. Everything comes under advertising, okay? They have the Happy Meal, and in the Happy Meal, what do they give you? They give you a toy, their box which you carry, their cover which you carry, their advertising, everything. What do they spend? More than $1.4 billion they spend. All these figures are huge indeed and getting bigger all the time. This is not small and this is not stopping here. This is going bigger and greater by the time. It is obvious then that unimaginably vast amounts of money and enormous resources are being spent worldwide in an all-out effort to persuade people to become buying machines incapable of figuring out how much of all that stuff they really need. We are all becoming like machines. We go to a store and we buy unnecessarily. I think all this has to stop. There has to be a full stop to all this. Till when are we going to do this? By very unrealistic things? Shopping has become more than a need. Now you don't go out and purchase for your need. You go out and you purchase just because you want it. So many times we buy so many things that we don't even require, but we still buy and keep. For increasing numbers of people today, it has become the chief form of entertainment. What do? You see TV, okay? In TV, you today saw an advertisement. Oh my God, this is nice, this looks so nice. Tomorrow only I am going and I am going to buy this. An obsessive compulsion they have little control over. It keeps running in your mind that, oh my God, I really liked it, I loved doing that and I am going to definitely buy that. Now, in this coronavirus, Dettol, now they have come up with amazing soaps, sanitizers, and some soap has come up with turmeric and this thing. So you want to go and buy. Yes, at this time, this is what I require. Everyone is going and buying Lifebuoy or Dettol soaps. Why? Because how it is advertised, absolutely. And very often an end in itself. In a recent survey conducted in the United States, it was discovered that most Americans spend roughly half their leisure time watching television. What is leisure time? The free time. What did they do in the free time? Watch television. Now, United States, everyone has big bungalows. They have big garages. They have big space. Every person has a car for them. They can afford it. They have the space. They can use it. But us Indians, we cannot. We are still developing countries, so we cannot do that, right? So we have to control our desires. You should not buy whatever is shown on TV. Whatever toy is shown on TV, you should not tell your mama, I want this toy right now, correct? We have to grow beyond that. And the other half, which is the other half? No marks for guessing. Absolutely no. At the shopping malls, of course, what are they doing? Watching the television in the leisure time, and the next minute you see them in the shopping mall. The connection between the two activities is self-evident. It explains itself on its own. Television commercials provide the theory, which can then be acted upon in the shopping malls. Television shows you something, the next thing what you do? You are in the shopping mall, going around looking for those products. Until a decade or two ago, we Indians were relatively unaffected by all this. It didn't affect us. We didn't even know what it is. We didn't have malls, so we didn't know what shopping, excessive shopping was. Not any longer. Trendy. Trendy is very fashionable or up to date. Brightly lit shopping centers or overflowing with all kinds of goods. Now, earlier we did not have so many shopping malls, right? Now, even small towns or cities have shopping malls. And what do? They decorate it in such a way that you are attracted or tempted to go there. And baubles. Baubles are small, showy trinket or decoration pieces. They have sprouted up all over the country, even in the smaller towns. You must have seen a Christmas tree, right? On a Christmas tree, you must have seen these. Yes. So, how do you see these on a Christmas tree? Here and there, everywhere. Like that, exactly like that showpieces, we have malls all over the country spread. And they are very attractive. When you see it, you want to take it. They look nice. That's how you also want to go to mall and go there and spend a lot of money. The key word now is choice. At last, say thrilled shoppers, we are beginning to get the kind of choice that people in the West have enjoyed for a long time. Now you saw a TV, a Sony Bravia 3D some TV you saw. It is for a lot of money. You want to buy only that. You go to this shop, you will not get it. You go to that shop, you will not get it. You will go to metro, you will go everywhere and find that TV, and only that TV you will get. This has become the choice. Yes, I want it, so I want it, and I am going to get it from anywhere. I want this particular fridge which will give me hot water too. So you want only that. Now your budget is 40,000. That TV is for 60,000. Will the shopkeeper give you? No, he will not give you in a loss. Why will he give you? He will not. So we need to understand that. Nevertheless, the fascination with choice can be carried to ridiculous lengths. You can go to a very ridiculous length for completing your choice. A young man, after his first visit to the United States, once described to me, his eyes popping out in admiration and wonder, that in America, they have 83 different flavors of ice cream to choose from. You know, when did he go? When he first went to US some time ago, a young man was shocked. He was amazed and surprised to see, you know, America has 83 different kind of ice cream flavors, man. But here we have only 2 or 3. Now what is here? Here also you have all that. We are westernizing. We are adopting all their cultures, correct? What do you talk about ice cream? Even a simple pencil has so many varieties now. So we haven't stopped there. We are becoming like Americans. He was longing for something like that to happen in India. When he went there and he saw those ice cream, he said, I wish in my India also it was like that. But was it nice? Was it good that it happened here? It looks as if his dream has come true today, at least for the upper middle class in India. The upper middle class, they are not happy and satisfied with even 83 flavors of ice cream. In India, the highest consumption lifestyles of their first world counterparts is now well within reach. Now they have everything around. They don't have to go to America to buy anything. And they take it to like ducks to water. Like how ducks will only go to water. The upper middle class will only go where they are required to. Okay? Luxury houses bursting at the seams with every imaginable material blessing are no longer rarities. For everyone whose definitions of the good life are premised upon the abundance of material possessions, the times have never been better. So what are premised upon? Based on the reasoning. Now everywhere you will see big time luxury houses, beautiful big luxury houses being built, and lot of material blessing. What is material blessings? Like big apartments, luxury houses, malls, you can see those rising up in every corner of the country. It's unimaginable. Okay, and with all that, how much of material they are possessing, how much of land they are possessing of ours. Now, the tragic comedy of development. Yes, we are developing, we are getting everything, we are getting westernized, but is it good or is it bad? The deep irony then is that while pockets of private property are growing, there is an inexorable impoverishment. What is this? What does this mean? It means it is impossible to stop or prevent. You can't stop it. When one man grows, he wants to grow more. He wants to go to a better place of the resources that belong to the public realm. There is thus an amazing variety of sleek new car models to choose from. But the roads in our cities are in pretty bad shape and getting worse. Of course, you have variety of car models. You have the Honda, you have Volkswagen, you have the Mercedes, you have the Lamborghini, you have the Ferrari. But do you have the roads to drive on? Indian roads are not suitable for these kind of cars, but still people buy and they spend so much money on the damages. So, we should always watch upon what we are buying. So, we have finished the part 1 of this chapter. We should understand what is good for us and what is not, what is essential and what is not, what is required and what is not. Okay? Don't overspend. The writer refers to the catchy phrase, shop till you drop in an advertisement. What is the meaning intended by the advertiser? What do you mean by that? The meaning of this advertisement is that the consumers should shop till they got tired and emptied their pockets. Question number 1 itself, B. Why does the writer call this apt and ironic? Because the media drives mania of mindless consumption that characterizes our lives in the modern age. Because this is apt, media is playing such a big role that we can't stop shopping when we go to a mall. 1C. Which word shows that the writer is condemning consumerism? The word posh shows that the writer is condemning consumerism. He is calling them posh. Okay. Question number 2. In the very first paragraph, the writer makes it very clear that what does he make it clear? Is it 1, he supports shopping and shopping malls? Does he support them? Or he is very critical of them? Of course, he is very, very critical of them because he finds it a waste. Question number 3, the A part. The writer puts Pepsi, Coca-Cola and other artificially flavored and sweetened water under absolutely unessential to human health and happiness. Do you agree with this view? Yes, we definitely agree with this view because it's completely unessential. Question number 3, B part. List any 5 such articles or gadgets or food items which your family has been using at home and which are not absolutely essential for your health and happiness. Can you think of 5 and write it on your own too? Mine are tinned food. You buy tinned food like pineapple, cherries or anything which come in a tin. Junk food, Pepsi, chips, Maggi, all those are junk food. The pasta packets that you get. Burger, McDonald's, yes. Ice cream comes in junk. Bakery products, all kinds of buns and all that you buy which we use at home are not absolutely essential for health and happiness. Why happiness? You don't need to spend money on these for happiness. You can get happiness with even small things in life. Question number 4. What is the success story of Pepsi and Coca-Cola? How do you think they became these big giants? Pepsi and Coca-Cola are sold in the remotest parts of the world. Everywhere that you go, you will get this. Question number 5 now. The second paragraph ends with a seemingly never-ending list. What list is the writer talking about here? In the second paragraph, the writer is talking about the necessary goods. What phrase, this is the question number 6, the A part. What phrase does the writer use in paragraph 3 to refer to an advertisement? Equally unprecedented in the world's history is the size of the machinery of persuasion that has been set up in order to generate demand for this profession. It is like a machine created to create the demand. What is advertising? It is a machine that goes around and creates a kind of demand in the society to buy that product. Question number 6b. What does an advertising aim to do? What is the main part of an advertisement, the ad that you see? What do you want the ad to do? The aim of the advertisement is to make money for the company that you are advertising for. Question number 7. In the writer's opinion, shopping has become what? What has shopping become actually? Essential? Yes? No. Shopping has become more than a need. You actually don't need. Sometimes even for a leisure, what do? I'm going to a mall, I'm not feeling too good. And we spend unnecessarily and we become happy. Moving on to the question number 8. What thrills the present day Indian shoppers? Present day Indian shoppers, what thrills them? Choice thrills the present day Indian shoppers. They are very happy and thrilled when they see so many varieties of something. When you go to a mall, when you just entering mall, you see so many kurtas and so many salwars and so many jackets, so many lipsticks, so many kajals. You feel like, wow, I have so much to choose from. Question number 9. What was the dream come true for the US returned Indian? What did he see there and what did he find here? The US returned Indian dreamt that even we should have more than 83 different flavors of ice cream to choose from, like in America. Basically in America he had lot of choices. He wanted the same to come to India, which I think was not required. Question number 10, the A part. In the sentence, and they take to it like ducks to water. What do they? Where are they? Who are they? It refers to the upper middle class people who can spend a lot more. They are the ducks who go to the water. Posh places, posh malls, posh cars. And what does it refer to in the same thing? It refers to the new market. Whatever new thing comes in the market, the upper middle class is the first one to pick it up. The same 10 C part. What does like ducks to water mean? What does that phrase mean here? Like a duck to water means that they have a natural talent of marketing strategies. Absolutely. So if they are buying something, we also like to buy that same thing. Correct? Question number 11. Does the writer approve of the attitude of the Indians spoken of in paragraph 5? Is the writer happy about the attitude of Indians here? Yes, he is happy. What is the deep irony referred to it in paragraph 6? What is the deep irony referring to? The deep irony is while pockets of private prosperity are growing, there is an inexorable impoverishment of the resources that belong to the public realm. Question 12b. Substantiate your answer with any one example from the paragraph. You have to take any paragraph, any line from the paragraph and explain that. Consumers might have a variety of cars to choose from, but the roads are in a bad state. Now you had to take an example from the paragraph. This is the example. Maybe you have lot of wide varieties of car, but you should actually have roads to drive those cars. So here we are at the end of part 1 of consumerist culture. Okay. So I hope you understand a little bit about this, the first half of the chapter, where the author says that we are spending unnecessarily. We are getting bags and bags which are not required, which are not essential. So remember and improvise this chapter, this part of the chapter. I'll meet you soon with the part 2 of the same chapter.